Welcome to Wine, Food and Travel with me, Marc Millon, on Italian Wine Podcast. Listen in as we journey to some of Italy's most beautiful places in the company of those who know them best, the families who grow grapes and make fabulous wines. Through their stories, we will learn not just about their wines, but also about their ways of life, the local and regional foods and specialities that pair naturally with their wines, and the most beautiful places to visit. We have a wonderful journey of discovery ahead of us, and I hope you will join me. Welcome to Wine, Food and Travel with me, Marc Millon, on Italian Wine Podcast. Today we're traveling to a beautiful region, Le Marche, to meet my guest, Giuditta Politi, of the Cantine Politi in Nidastore. It's wonderful to be in contact with you again, Giuditta. How are you today?
Well, I'm fine. There is a wonderful sunshine outside, and that's so nice, and nice hearing from you again. Thank you, Marc.
Oh, it's really nice to hear from you again. And I'm imagining that beautiful sunshine on the rolling hills of the Castelli di Esi. Can you perhaps, to give our listeners a picture of your beautiful area, explain a little bit about where you are, where the Castelli di Esi is located?
Well, actually, we are in the middle of Le Marche, and Le Marche is a region which is on the Adriatic Sea and in the middle of Italy, almost at the same height of Tuscany. And actually, probably you are so used to hearing about Tuscany, but Le Marche, it's according to me at least, much better. Just because, for example, our beautiful hills are between the Apennines, which are mountains, and right now they are all covered with the snow. But at 30 kilometers from our estate, there is a seaside. So during summer, especially summer, you can have such a wonderful time making bath and things like that on the beach. Between the Apennines and the seaside, there are our beautiful hills. And, right now, if you look at them, you can see almost a patchwork blanket. And that's the wonderful thing of our hills, just because every morning when I go out of my house and I look around, the colors are so changing daily, really daily, day by day, just because our hills are characterized with small units which are cultivated, and the cultivations are so different and different in colors that, for example, in autumn the colors are very different, in winter, in spring, in summer, and within each season the color are changing again, and it's so beautiful and so relaxing coming here and look around and of course just try our wonderful products, just like wines and food.
Oh, you've given us a beautiful picture of Le Marche, because it is, as you say, a region that is less well known perhaps in other central Italian regions like Tuscany, but this mix of the Adriatic Sea that you can actually almost see from the estate and the high mountains with the snow is a very, very beautiful mix. Also, I think what you're saying about the colors is interesting, Giuditta, because the agriculture is not just specialized, is it? It's very mixed with olives and vines and other crops as well, which makes a more interesting landscape.
Yeah, that's what I wanted to say, and that. The real thing is that we have such a small units, and the owners of the units are different one from the other. So the crops are different, and different are the colors. That's why.
That's really interesting. And the Castelli di Esi, these are hilltop towns. Is that right? A number of them within the area of Iesi itself?
Yeah, there are so many castles around, and around Iesi, and of course around Le Marche, especially in the inner part of Le Marche. And for example, in my area, which is a little bit farther from Iesi, there are such beautiful castles like, for example, Loretello, which is a medieval, very small castle, but very nice one. And around this castle, Loretello, there are my vineyards.
Yes, the wonderful Loretello wine, which I'm looking forward to talking about, but more importantly, to tasting again when I'm able to. It's a wine I love. Now, Giuditta, you're the winemaker at Cantine Politi, but that wasn't your background originally. Tell us a little bit about how you came into wine.
Well, actually, I was a researcher in evolutionary genetics, actually, and I was a researcher for about 15 years at university in Rome. But, we had this family estate for, let's say, 200 years or something like that. I just think that, for example, our vineyards, the first ones, were planted in 1955. So they were the first vineyards of the whole region here around. And, I was, of course, I was a very wine lover since, let's say, 18 years, not before than that, of course. But, I was so close and so tight to my roots. This countryside was in my blood, I guess, since ever. After a while, when my father happened to die, well, someone had to decide to run the whole thing again, or else we had to sell everything. But it was. According to me, it would have been such a pity to sell everything. And my roots came out very strongly. And I came back. And of course, I had to study a little bit about wine and how to make it and these kind of things. So I had a master and after my PhD, of course. And then I came back and starting to take care of my vineyards. And that's a very, how would I say, a very touching thing. Every morning when I wake up, I'm very happy. I'm very happy to be here and to try to make things going on well. And that's it.
Wow, it's a beautiful story because you were a scientist in Rome, but the roots of your family history and the land you were attached to pulled you back. I'm imagining that scientific background, that inquiring way of problem solving, has helped you on the farm where you are cultivating the traditional grapes of Le Marche, Verdicchio, Sangiovese, Montepulciano, also making a wonderful olive oil that I recall well as well. Can you talk to us a little bit about your activities and particularly about this very special wine, Loretello?
Loretello is a Verdicchio, and the Verdicchio grape is, I would say, the most typical of Le Marche and of our area, Castelli di Iesi and Arcevia, where I am. Verdicchio is a very interesting grape, and for example, this year, a Verdicchio won the best wine, world best wine prize, which can you make understand the potentiality of this grape. Our grape, of course, first of all, our grape are grown with so much love, not only mine, but also the love of all our collaborators. We are such a tight crew, and we work very well together. And every year, of course, all the things we make are made by hand, let's say pruning and harvesting, just because, according to me, it's very important to look directly at what you do and what you see, so that you can choose every year at a harvesting time the best grapes to get into the cantina and to make wine. Our wine is the fermentation is run at low temperature. And after the fermentation, we leave our wine. I decided to leave the Loretello wine on yeast until the end of April. That makes enrich the wine of natural antioxidants, which are called manoproteins, and that makes me add just a few amount of chemical antioxidant when I bottle the wine. And that's very important, according to me, just because the first thing I want to make, of course, is making a good wine, but also a healthy wine. Those two things are the most important things in making a wine, according. And I guess that every year, until right now, with hard work and, of course, also a little bit, let's say, of fortuna. Fortuna in English is
Luck.
luck. That's it. Thank you, Mark. Thank you, Mark. Just because, luck helps people who works hard.
Sure, that's true.
And every year we're able to make our Loretello, and I'm very, very happy about the quality of this wine.
Well, it's a beautiful wine, and I know what you're saying about the Verdicchio being such a characterful grape. I think it's one of the great white grapes of Italy and indeed the world. But what's interesting is that Verdicchio is very versatile. Sometimes it can be a simple wine to enjoy on the beach, but your Loretello is a much bigger wine, a more structured wine, a wine that I remember well. I used to say it was a wine for red wine lovers who don't necessarily like white wines, but they would always love Loretello because it has so much structure, and it's a wine that goes so well with the foods of Le Marche.
Yeah, definitely. Usually we think about white wines just to be matched with, let's say, fish or something like that. Very light dishes, I would say. Not Verdicchio and not my Verdicchio, not Loretello, just because, as you said, it's very structured and he's characterized by a very high minerality, which makes it perfect, for example, with some typical dishes of Le Marche, just like rabbit, coniglio in porchetta.
Okay.
Probably you you know what I'm talking about, and you will be much better than me in describing this kind of dish.
Well, would that normally be disossato? Would it be a boned rabbit?
Yeah.
So the rabbit would be boned and then it would be stuffed with the wild fennel and garlic and other herbs like that, Giuditta, and then cooked in the oven.
Yeah, perfectly described. And it's so delicious.
Oh, yes, I remember that.
Especially if you eat this kind of dish and on your side you have a glass of Loretello. That's a wonderful dish, really.
Actually, one of the most interesting things I think about the food in Le Marche is, as you were describing the landscape, we have this beautiful mix of the hills leading up to the mountains and the sea. So the food reflects that as well, doesn't it? This mix of sea and land, mare terra.
See, yes, perfectly, yes. Just because within, let's say, 40 kilometers, which in miles it would be almost 30 miles if I, so a very small territory. You have such a big numbers of different dishes which are so typical. So you have wonderful fish dishes like, for example, brodetto.
Of course. The brodetto being a really rich, full flavored, sort of soupy stew.
Yeah.
With the fish landed in Ancona and in the other ports of Le Marche.
And for example, just to make you understand the difference within such a small territory, for example, Brodetto, if you go to Fano, which is a town in the northern part of Le Marche, you have one Brodetto, which is a little bit different from the one in Senigallia, and again, is a little bit different in the one in Ancona and whatever. So each town has its own recipe, and that's very interesting, just because going around, you can have such difference in tasting the same dish. That's very interesting, really, really.
That is really interesting. And also, I imagine not just in each town, but in each family.
Yeah, you are right, perfectly right. And the mother of the family has his own recipe, and she's so jealous about it.
Yes, yes. And do you think with the next generation, are those food traditions going to be maintained?
Well, for sure in the countryside, just because family is, a very big matter still. For example, at Christmas time, the family reunion, during the family reunion is very important to cook the traditional dish of the family. And that's a conditio sine qua non. I mean, something that it's so necessary to maintain those kind of dishes and traditions within generation.
Yeah, absolutely. And what would be your traditional dish of the family at Christmas?
Cappelletti, of course.
Cappelletti, the small stuffed pasta. Now, is that different in Le Marche than the cappellette, per esempio, in Emilia-Romagna?
Yes, they are, il ripieno.
The filling?
Yeah, the filling is a little bit different. Usually in Emilia-Romagna, they use the ham.
Mm-hmm.
Instead, we use just meat, normal meat. And usually this meat is mixed. So you have some chicken, some cow, it's mixed.
Oh, interesting. And would you have that in brodo?
Of course. Brodo di cappone.
Okay, so a capon broth, a richly flavored broth.
And then, of course, after that, on the 24th for dinner, we have stoccafisso.
Okay, the dried cod, the air dried, or is the stoccafisso air dried or salted?
No, air dried.
Air dried, yes, that's different from the bacala. Yeah, okay, and that's in cooked in umido or
In umido with some small tomatoes, pomodorini, and potatoes.
okay, so very traditional. And with this, you would also be enjoying your Casa di Terre, the red wine made with Sangiovese, Montepulciano, and a little bit of Syrah.
Well, actually, it would sound strange in Le Marche Syrah, but I will explain you why. When I came back here, our red wine was a little bit too aggressive, just because Montepulciano and Sangiovese, which are the typical grapes of Le Marche, red grapes of Le Marche, in the inner part of Le Marche, we are, almost at 400 meters of altitude, towards the Apennines. So Montepulciano tends to remain a little bit too aggressive. So I decided to implant a new vineyard, a small vineyard of Syrah, just to make our red wine, more smooth.
Right, just to round it a little bit. Yeah, yeah.
And that's why. It's not a DOC, but it's an IGT.
An IGT, Indicazione Geografica Tipica.
Yeah, that's it. So still a very high quality wine. And about this red wine, usually we age this wine before the bottling 6 months into a big oak, which is not a barrique. Just because I think that barrique is a little bit too aggressive on the tasting of wine. And instead, it's very important to maintain into the wine the characteristic of the grapes that you use.
Yes, to really express the territory.
Yeah, that's it. And the name Casa di Terra, which means a house made out of clay, it's a try to bind this wine to the territory. Just because, let's say, 100 years ago, here around, most of the houses were made out of clay, and that's why the name of our wine.
And you've really given us a beautiful picture of Le Marche and of the Castelli di Esi where you're located. And I know as well that you are very welcoming to visitors through the agriturismo Montefiore that you have. So if any of our listeners are coming to the area and would like to visit, they can find the agriturismo Montefiore. Tell us a little bit about this, Giuditta.
Well, our agriturismo, it's something like a bed and breakfast. Since, I really don't have time to cook for our guests, but, I really take care of our guests. It's very important for me to go with the guests around the territory and explain to them what they are looking at. Just because each territory has his own history, his own traditions, and the best way to see and to getting to know a territory is looking at it and leaving the territory with someone who knows it very well. And that's why, I go with them into the vineyards, and it's very fun for some of them to go during the harvesting time and to try to harvest their own grapes and make their own bottle of wine or something like that, or else to come during the harvesting of olives and to go home with their own bottle of fresh olive oil, and to really get to know what is the work here around and what's behind a bottle of wine or a bottle of olive oil, which is very important. Just because, I guess that you feel after this kind of experience, you would feel completely different in respect to the product that you use.
Yes, that's a wonderful opportunity and a wonderful way for people to really experience an area, your area, in your company. I hope that some of our listeners will be knocking on your door and coming to Montefiore to stay with you.
But Mark, anyhow, even if they don't stay in my agriturismo, don't worry, just come along and I will be so happy to make you taste our product and to make you taste it in such a wonderful landscape, especially during summer on the garden, outside in the garden, during, for example, dawn time. I guess that would be a very, very nice experience for all of you.
A wonderful experience, and I can't wait to return myself, Giuditta. It's been really wonderful meeting you again and having a chance to talk and find out about your story and the story of your wonderful wines.
Thank you, Mark. Thank you very much. And, I really want to see you again here around. And so please come as soon as possible.
I will. Thank you, Giuditta. Bye-bye for now.
Thank you very much. Thank you, everybody.
We hope you enjoyed today's episode of Wine, Food and Travel with me, Marc Millon, on Italian Wine Podcast. Please remember to like, share, and subscribe right here or wherever you get your pods. Likewise, you can visit us at ItalianWinePodcast.com. Until next time, chin chin.
Hi guys, I'm Joy Livingston and I am the producer of the Italian Wine Podcast. Thank you for listening. We are the only wine podcast that has been doing a daily show since the pandemic began. This is a labor of love and we are committed to bringing you free content every day. Of course, this takes time and effort, not to mention the cost of equipment, production, and editing. We would be grateful for your donations, suggestions, requests, and ideas. For more information on how to get in touch, go to ItalianWinePodcast.com.